What's up, guys? It's Lefty here, and we are talking everything NFL Week 12. I'll be breaking down each game and the bets I have locked in as of Friday and why I made those bets. All the bets I have as of now are listed inside the Betting Network Discord. The invite link to join the Discord is inside the bio or the description of this video. Now, it's been a tough NFL season for me so far in regards to betting. Got off to a bad start and really haven't done much since, but I'm taking it 1 week at a time, not looking to get it all back in 1 week. This part of the NFL season can get a little bit tricky because not all teams have the same motivation or goals. You have some teams who are basically giving up, some teams who are all in with max effort. There's a few other things we want to be aware of as well that I'll talk about more specifically in the game breakdowns. It's week 12, so we should know the identity of all the teams, but there's some teams who are much different now than maybe they were 5 or 6 weeks ago. Rams and Seattle, they're two teams that come to mind, teams that had a ton of injuries the first half of the season, and now they're healthier. It's important to keep these things in mind. Now, with that said, there's a lot to go over. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into the first game, Sunday, 1 p.m. Lions-Colts. Detroit right now, absolute machine. And their ability to score points against any type of defense makes them extremely tough to bet against, regardless of the point spread. Unless we find the Lions playing in a spot where, you get Jared Goff outdoors in bad weather, freezing temps with winds howling while facing pressure. Besides that, the Lions are going to have a really good shot at winning by double digits versus mostly any team in the league. I'm glad I have the Lions over 10.5 wins. I basically already have that money spent. Lions are a team that are atop of a lot of people's power ratings, and I can say that without even seeing their numbers because there's only so many combination of stats you can use to create ratings, and Lions being number one in most stats and just dominating opponents, it's safe to assume the Lions are rated number one. And it's not like I disagree with the Lions being rated number one. I have them rated number two overall, 7.7 points better than a league average team. And I'm pretty certain the only reason I don't have them number one is because I weigh defense more importantly. And there's some things the Lions do defensively or that they don't do well that I put more weight into than most, like explosive pass percentage allowed and how they don't get pressure despite playing out of predominantly a heavy box. Lions are very likely at the peak of their ratings right now. Despite that, I do show value on Detroit at the current number of minus 7.5. Based on my numbers, I make Detroit minus 8.7 point favorites, but I'm not betting them. In fact, if I had to make a decision on the side, I'd probably back the Colts as home dogs here. I have to think we see some regression with Detroit, and the market seems to agree with that too. Sharp money took all the Indy plus 8.5s and 8s off the board. And I think this has a lot to do with how banged up the Lions are becoming on defense. They just lost defensive captain Alex Anzalone. He's the defensive signal caller, meaning he has the green dot on his helmet. He's responsible for communicating with the sideline. When you lose the green dot on defense, it has an immediate impact, and it can take weeks to fill that void. But losing Anzalone comes after they've already added Derek Barnes to IR. These are major parts of the Lions' run-stop unit, and remember, they're already weaker on the outside after losing Aid Hutchinson when he went down a couple weeks ago. Lions' top cornerback, Carlton Davis, he's playing with a broken thumb. There's just injuries everywhere. And when you look at what the Colts want to do offensively with AR-15 back under center and Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, they want to attack the middle of the defense on the ground. This is an area where the Lions are struggling at. If you look at some of the Lions games recently, they've given up a ton of yards. Of course, it's not reflective on the final score. The big question is, will the Colts be able to take advantage of this? I think they'll be good enough to keep it close, but I'm also kind of a sucker for the Colts team. It's one of my favorite teams as far as roster and play calling goes. I even like their uniforms a lot. Which, yes, uniforms does get factored into my power ratings. Kidding, of course. But the more I talk to this game, the more I kind of like the Colts and the over, and that's how I'd probably play this one. Colts are a very high variance team with Anthony Richardson at quarterback, boom or bust, um, and with the Lions banged up in the middle of their defense, and the Lions under defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn have historically been bad at defending running quarterbacks. It's tough not to like the over in this one. Let's move right along here to the next one. I'm going to skip KC and Carolina. A lot of uncertainty in that game. Carolina head coach, he's already talking about healthy players only playing a couple quarters, or players coming back from injury that are going to be held out. I don't know what's going on with that in Carolina. Looks like KC's running back Pacheco. He's not going to return yet either. Let's go to Vikings Bears. This line opened 4.5, all Bears money, and it brought it down to 3, and that's when it was met with some resistance, and the Vikings money came back at 3, and we're currently seeing 3.5. This is a great example of how there are sharp numbers, not sharp teams. You can't tell someone who bet Bears plus 4.5 that they don't have a sharp bet. Same way you can't tell someone who has the Vikings minus 3. Both are sharp bets. There's just no such thing as sharp teams, only sharp numbers. I think if I could pick this game right now, I'd want the Vikings minus 3 rather than the Bears plus 4.5. My numbers make Minnesota minus 5.5. Not sure how this number even got to 3. This Bears team just closed plus 6.5 at home at Green Bay, and now at home versus Minnesota, they're only 3.5. I don't have a 3-point difference between Green Bay and Minnesota, and don't think Chicago deserves a huge upgrade after last week. The Bears have lost 4 straight, but now seems like they're getting a bunch of credit for losing by 1 point at home to Green Bay. I get this is the 3rd straight road game for the Vikings and the 4th road game in 5 weeks. Bears offensive coordinator change kind of sparked them last week, and I did like the Bears play calling last week. The QB designed runs. They got more yak stuff from DJ Moore, getting him the ball in space, but we have to remember this was against a Green Bay defense where Jair Alexander, he only played I think 10 snaps in that game. I find it hard to believe the Bears will repeat that performance this week against a Brian Flores defense. Minnesota's only lost 2 games this season, and one of them was a 2-point loss to the Lions, who right now are either number 1 or number 2 power-rated team in the league. After that loss, they go on the road, short week, in one of the toughest situational spots, short week on the road, Thursday Night Football against an unfamiliar opponent in the Rams. The Vikings, their offense hasn't really been the same since they lost left tackle Christian Darrisaw back in, I believe it was like week 9. In a response to losing Darrisaw for the season, Minnesota traded for Jags left tackle Cam Robinson, and since this injury, Vikings quarterback Darnold has been under more pressure. He's not a quarterback that deals with pressure all that well either. Vikings defense certainly legit, but we've kind of seen this time and time again before with the Brian Flores-led defenses. The more film you have on him, it eventually gets solved by opposing quarterbacks. There's only so many blitz combos you can use before teams catch on. Vikings do blitz at the 2nd highest rate. Caleb Williams against the blitz is either 2nd or 3rd worst in the league when it comes to yards per attempt or ADOT. And he's dead last if you filter down to zone blitz specifically in those same categories, which the Vikings blitz mostly out of zone. So not really sold on seeing, this Bears offense being fixed, especially in this matchup versus the Vikings here. And really, if we look at this Bears offense and why they looked so good last week, it was their running game with Swift and Caleb Williams and the QB run game. No coincidence, too. The Bears had both their starting offensive tackles back on the field. But again, will the Bears be able to have success running versus Vikings defense that's number 1 in the following categories: rush, EPA, allowed, rushing success rate allowed, rushing explosive play percentage. I mean, the list even goes on, but this game and any Bears offensive success is going to be on Caleb's arm, I feel like, and I'm not relying on that. I like the Vikings in this one. Dallas, Washington. How quickly things can change here in the NFL. Crazy. Washington's the better team in this matchup after years of Dallas just dominating this series. And it's not like Washington's just a slight favorite either. We have our first official quadruple D of the season. Members of the Discord know all about the quad Ds. Stands for double digit divisional dog. Teams in this spot have been profitable over a large sample size with a win-loss record of 136 wins, 108 losses, and 8 pushes. That's 56% win rate. It has regressed a little in the past couple seasons. I usually bet these quad Ds pretty much blindly. This one's a little tough to pull the trigger on here with Dallas. Washington's a team that I've had pegged as overrated for a while now. Never once did I really buy into Washington being a historically good offense, but Jaden Daniels and his rib injury, it seems to have brought this offense back down to earth. If he's fully healthy, maybe this offense is a bit undervalued here, which is a tough call. Calling a double-digit divisional favorite undervalued. But this rib injury for Jaden Daniels has definitely impacted his play. He's run the ball less. He only 23 total rushing yards the last 2 games. He's missed a ton of those short, easy throws that he's made look so easy all season. Only threw 31% of his passes, or I should say 31% of his passes were 5 yards or more downfield. Lowest of any QB. So he's not pushing the ball downfield at all or running. Has the league caught on to him, or is he just really still banged up? The reports are the rib injury is completely behind him. He did have a full week of full participation at practice, which he hasn't had in about 3 or 4 weeks. But my concern or worry here is with Washington. Let's say they do go up big, like 3 touchdowns. How much motivation do they have to keep Daniels in with their foot on the gas? Remember, they aren't trying to cover the spread like we are, and this Commanders' defense is bad. I can't lay double digits with a defense that's going to leave the back door open or have reason to let off the gas and protect their quarterback. Which rookie quarterbacks in general, if you're going to remember, they're used to just playing 12 or 13 game seasons, so this starts to become a really tough part of the season, not just for Daniels, but physically for rookies in general. But betting on the other side, Dallas has all these negatives. Never good to bet on a team when their head coach could be fired any minute. I wonder if Dallas, if they get blown out here, would Jerry Jones actually fire McCarthy after the game, even with Thanksgiving 4 days away? He'd have to wait to fire him, I would assume, right? Besides that, Dallas looks like they're going to be without 2 of their best offensive linemen, Tyler Smith and Zach Martin. That's 2 huge pieces right there up front. Jake Ferguson's out. CeeDee Lamb, he's probably going to miss. And they have Cooper Rush under center. And Schottenheimer was talking about this week implementing some Trey Lance packages too. That doesn't sound good or promising there. And despite all this, the line is actually trending down a bit. Some books were at 11 or 10.5, and now they're down to 10. But I'm staying away from the side here in this one, and I'm going to go over the total. Both defenses are terrible. Both offenses could possibly be a little undervalued coming into this game. Both teams play really fast. Dallas with Cooper Rush at QB last game, 79 total offensive plays. They played with an average pace of 26 seconds. It's the fastest pace snap to snap that I think I've ever seen. Washington is already one of the fastest teams too, snap to snap. I think the over is the way to go in this one. Only problem here is other people have this same idea. They saw Cooper Rush and this Dallas offense play super fast, so this total was 43. Now it's up over the key number of 44. I like it a lot less at 44 or higher. Besides the over, I have a good amount of player props circled, which I'm going to post in the Discord, of course. If this game doesn't go over the total, I think we see a lot of yards, especially passing the ball. Washington's pass defensive numbers don't look good, and as bad as they rarely are, but their pass defensive numbers are bad, but it's because they should be worse. Their run defense is really bad, so everyone tries to run against them and they don't even pass. So it's actually like Washington's pass defensive numbers should be worse. But Dallas doesn't even have a running game, so I think Cooper Rush actually passes all over the Commies defense here, especially if they're playing from behind, which they should be as a double-digit dog. Also, like Washington's over team total. If I could get 27.5 there, I'd probably go over that. I'm going to have a good amount of action on this game by kickoff, I think. And again, everything will be posted in the Discord community. All right, let's go next up.